Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we're doing a BT19 tier list and kind of just a tier list for my predictions for the Dragon Ball Super National Championship here in North America this next weekend. I haven't made a tier list for this in a while, and in general, just basic rules for my tier list. One, we're not going to have every leader in the game. If I don't mention a leader, I think it's highly playable or lower. And specifically for this tier list too, since we're going into national seasons, highly competitive means that I think that's probably one of the leaders I would bank on winning the entire event. Competitive means that I would not be surprised it would win the event, but I don't think it is. It's probably just going to get some top 16 places. Highly playable is that it might get a top 16, but I'd be very surprised at anything else from that, and just kind of down the line there. So that's the idea. And then also we're breaking down this video into just essentially all of the new BT19 leaders, so just a quick overview of my thoughts on all of those guys. And then we're going to break it up by color from there on what my thoughts are the best, and kind of just color-based leaders from there. So starting off with this, we're going to go into our BT19 leaders. And first we have the new Gohan here. And I think he's I don't know. It's very tricky for these leaders that have like these really weird restrictions, right? But by and large, they're either incredibly good or just very bad, right? And we've seen that in both ways. Like we've seen King Piccolo with the, you start with less life, but then you also just do very well. You've seen like the Beers where you also start with less life and you don't do as well. So there's that. We do see some restrictions with like Goku as well. Like Goku, SS3 Goku still viable, and the reboot form you're restricted to 6 energy, but still you're able to do that. So they're restricting it to 3 energy. We'll see if that is too restricting, but I knew the archetype is based around doing that. And honestly, there's just so many things that you do in these decks that you for cheap anyways. I don't think like having only 3 energy is a minor thing for it. The only thing is with being at where it's errata for only on the defense side, it can make a difference. And honestly, I think this is the deck that broke the Bean Sensu Bean in general. Like if Sensu Bean was on errata, I think this deck would probably be busted. So I think it's just competitive, and we'll see if it's there and go from there. Next up, we have the new Piccolo, and I've been famously burned by Piccolo time and time again, but trust me, like this is probably the best he's been since the Surge leader. I don't know if that's going to be true, but that's just my feelings for it. It seems like you have a lot of good stuff. Yellow seems to be in an okay spot in general right now. It's probably second best color in my mind. Like blue and yellow are kind of fighting for that second best. Spoilers, red's the best color right now. But Piccolo has a lot of support. It has a lot of the superhero support as well, and I think it can be built off the back of this guy. And he's just like a solid leader, honestly, which is the best thing that a Namekian leader has. All of them kind of have some janky kind of like conditions to just make them as consistent as other leaders, and this one seems the most consistent of them all, and it's Namekian. And we have like a couple sets of the superhero stuff that looks for specifically these Piccolos and Namekian leaders, and I think there's a shot for it, so I'm putting it there. And talking about a yellow Namekian, we have the Lord Slug, and I think this one is just okay. I don't have a lot of experience with it, and there are some cool things with it, but I think there are just probably some better yellow decks and maybe a better yellow Namekian. Hint, hint, that Piccolo we just talked about. But I think, honestly, this is a deck that I don't have a lot of experience with, and in general, I need to probably brush up on it. But part of the reason is because I haven't been seeing people play it as much, and I think it's just okay right now. I don't think it's as exciting as some other stuff, and I don't think it's warranted a lot of discussion looking into for this national meta. So, but there are some cool things with it. I do like what it does, and so we're putting it highly playable. And then lastly, or not lastly, but last from the, I guess, actual set, the other is Broly Green. And I don't know if it's just me being a green, Frieza Army leader guy, but I think there's some really neat stuff you can do with this leader. It has some really weird things, and if I was to be playing in this tournament, which I won't be, I would probably, because I'll be commentating. I'm not. I have an invite, I promise. But I would probably be investing a lot of time into this Broly. I think there's a lot of potential for it, and I just haven't seen it personally. But I think there is something there for that kind of stuff. So it's probably one of the leaders I'd be looking into. Probably the Piccolo and the Broly are, if I was looking to a BT19 deck, it'd be one of these two. And I just haven't done that yet. So I'm putting him in a cautiously highly playable, but I do think, again, there's something there for this leader. And then we also have the Magenta. I'm putting him in playable. I really do like this deck, and I do like the idea of it, like an Agent of Destructions. I think it's like a little bit too limited on being able to do, proc villainous effects on your opponent's turn, but I also know that you have to be kind of careful with that because it can go out of control. But also in an archetype that doesn't have a lot of protection on their cards with villainous, it's just kind of rough to get the setup, and especially since so many decks right now just pop things for free as well as playing things, so you just have a rough time with it. But I do like what it does. I'm going to put it in playable. I think people will be trying it, and it's a very fun deck in general, but there we go. And then the rest of these leaders I'm just putting here in the bottom here. It's not even necessarily bad, but these are just honestly leaders that haven't really caught my eye. I've looked into it, but I haven't been seeing people play it. I'd be very surprised if any of these did well at this event. And that is just by and large my thought for it there. I know it's a little just over glossing over them, but I don't really have a lot of insight for them, unfortunately. And I think that a lot of them are cool. A lot of them have cool combos and fun things you can do with them, but I don't think they're on the same level as a lot of the other decks that exist in the meta right now. And there's that. If you disagree with any of this, by the way, please let me know. Let me know what I've missed on some of these decks, and let me know. But it's not even. I'm not even putting it like below. I'm just saying I don't have enough data for these, and honestly, I don't think a lot of people have been investing in these leaders for a good reason, because I think this a lot of these other decks that are existing are just strictly better. But anyways, we're putting those there. And we're going into our color-based leader. So we're going to start with red, and we're just going to put both these guys up here real quick. I don't think anyone would argue with these. I think these are two of the strongest leaders in the game right now. Red has just, I would say, almost unfair amount of these Z battle cards that are just in a really, really good spot right now. We do get a bunch of new ones in BT19. I think blue and green get some nice 2-drops that are kind of on par with the Vegeta Z battle card, but these are still, I think, very strong. And looking, obviously, I'm making this video also after some of the European nationals that have been going on as well. So a little of this is a little bit of cheating, knowing based on what's been topping over there. But their events have been, by and large, only BT18 and not BT19 as well. So that's something to consider for us there. But I think both these leaders are very, very strong. I think they're going to be, continue to be strong in BT19, and they are there. We're also just going to put Vegito there. It's fun. There's a lot of history with this guy, and I think it's a very, very strong leader for this game right now. He has a lot of tools. It plays its own game a lot of the time, and just breaks a lot of the conventional rules for the game to make the archetype work. And usually when they do that, the deck becomes broken. So I think it's probably one of the strongest leaders right now. I think these other two might be a little bit better, but I think people will definitely be playing it, and would not be surprised if it's at the top there. So next up, we have the Gogeta BR. This is it's very strong if you're able to get the combo off. If you don't know, there's essentially a turn 2 kill kind of thing with this deck right now, and it's strong if you get there, and then if you don't, then you don't kind of thing. But the deck still has some plays for it and is strong with it there. I don't think it's as consistent as other decks, but if you are seeing your secret rare, if you're seeing the cards you need to see, it is incredibly strong and very hard to play against in that way. So I'm putting it competitive. We'll see if it does anything. People will definitely be playing it if they're confident with the combo and the chain, and I think it deserves to be a spot there. And then Pan, I think Pan is good too. I think the only reason Pan won't be being played is because the other red decks are just strictly better from it. But Pan is still probably better than the best deck in a lot of other colors in my mind. It's just very strong, and again, it's just people won't be playing Pan if they think that Sin Senran or Gogeta are just better. And that's probably what's going to be. So anyways, those are the red decks, and going into our blue ones, we're going to start off with Gamma. And I think Gamma is probably the best blue. I'll put it in highly competitive. Why not? Why not? It did win the EU championship. Again, that was with BT18, so it's nothing with the new stuff. But I think it's in a good spot, especially with some of the new just generic blue Zenkai stuff that we get in the next set. And I wouldn't be surprised if it there. I'll put it up in highly competitive. It's probably the best blue deck that we have going into BT19. And that's probably, that's my thoughts there. And then we just have kind of like the regular smorgasbord of like blue decks here too. We have 7-Coup, which I think is just fine. It's just in a good spot right now with that. Beerus, probably the same thing. I might bump it to highly competitive, but it's there. We have SS4 Vegeta and SS3 Goku. I think both of these are very strong for what they do, and they're probably just the better generic blue decks, especially because SS4 Vegeta did get some new anniversary box support, which is kind of important there. Essentially being able to get like a double strike in the archetype that's on blue is very good, and everything else with that Bulma. So I think that is probably one of the best blue decks there. And then we do have SS3 Reboot, which has never been like it's won a lot of BT18 tournaments here in North America. I think it's still going to be played here and for this event, and we'll see how it does. Janimba, I just kind of have to mention it because it's never like the worst deck in the meta, and so people might be jumping back to it. It did get some anniversary box support as well, in case that's important enough, but I think it's just fine. People will be playing it, but I don't know if it's going to top. And then I'm pretty sure Jared Lopez is going to be at this event, so I got to put the Aandroidd on there, and I think it's a very, very strong deck. We'll see if Jared decides to play with it or not, but it's never bad, and I think it did get some generic Z battle support as well, so there we go. Going into green decks, probably our best green deck in my mind is still the Expert deck Cell, and I don't even know if it's competitive anymore. It's just probably the best one, and I don't think, and every other green deck that we have, I think is just fine for what it is, but green just has like a really weird identity problem, and even before this, like in general, anytime green's done really well, it's been with a very specific archetype in my mind. It's been less of a kind of open box kind of thing for it, and like Ultimate Deck Cell is probably the best kind of archetype we had now. Obviously Surge Cell was probably the best green leader, and it was only a green-yellow leader before it got banned, and just because of how open it was as a leader. And then everything else, like King Cold was just very archetype based. You have King Piccolo here as well, which is very archetype based. I'm going to put that in highly playable there. And yeah, so we'll see. It's, I don't know, Green's really just had a hard time finding any good archetype, I feel like, besides like Cell Surge. And then Ultimate Deck Cell does help it with a little bit with kind of like a card destruction archetype, but there we go. We also have, I have to put this because it topped in in EU. I think it's fine. I haven't seen the deck list as of recording for this. I am actively seeking it out, so if I look over it, and maybe I'll change my mind and say, oh man, he's found some spice. It's very, very good. But I think this is a little bit of an anomaly for that getting a top there, but we'll see if that's true. And also Gotenks. I think Gotenks is I'm going to actually put this here. Bam. Got him. But I think Gotenks is fine. I'm very surprised it hasn't been doing as well as I thought it would in North American meta. And I do know, again, it's green. There are some kind of slowness for it, and it's a little bit linear as a playstyle. But it does have a lot of interaction with your opponent, a lot of hand destruction, a lot of just destruction in general. And with the new Z leader, there are like a lot of reasons to play this, and I'm just surprised that it still hasn't seen a lot of play. It has seen a couple tops, but not as overwhelming as I thought it'd be seeing. So. Anyways, going to yellow leaders, we're going to start off with Turtles. I still think is competitive. I think it's in a very good spot. I think you can do some really cool stuff with it still. Yellow kind of has like just a generic toolbox of items and stuff you can do with it. If I was to say the best yellow deck right now, it'd probably be the Reboot Goku. It's probably the one that I think is the strongest right now. But we also have like the Vegeta and Trunks. I like they're still just solid as a deck in general right now too. So nothing really has changed with that. It's just kind of the format. But again, open yellow toolbox. Some kind of extra choices. These are just, I'm putting them playable, but these are my two like yeet choices here too. So I think Topo did get some support, and it's in a really good spot because of it. So if you don't have a way to play around, like so many decks are playing cards for free, right? And so only being able to play one card per turn for both sides, Yellow Topo can take advantage of that against a lot of these other decks, especially since there's some that require you to play Z battle cards to go into your other cards, and that can be very impactful for it. And Frieza Rejuvenation, I've been playing this deck honestly a lot. It started as just like a fun joke, but it ended up being a lot better than I thought it would be. I think there's some cool interactions that you can do with it, and again, with this being a kind of color that lets you play a unison for free, which means you can do your Empower stuff for free, like for cheaper and stuff. I think it is worth looking into. I don't know if it's going to be, it's probably, no one's going to be playing it, but I just want to mention it. It's been fun, and I think it's in a solid spot. And then obviously that's why Turtles I think is great too, because you do get a unison out for free, and you get your Empower stuff for it, and that still is impactful now, but we'll kind of see how it is. I still think Piccolo probably by and large is better, and we'll reorder these at the end, but we'll go there. And last up, we do have Black, and Black really hasn't been in the meta that much right now. If I was to say the best Black deck, man, we're in 2022 and it's still Vegex, right? Like it's still there. It's in a good spot-ish. Like it's never it's just less consistent than it was. We're like we didn't even get like a black leader in BT19. The only one we got was a promo, which is the magenta, which is not a like traditional black leader either. So uh, we'll see. I don't know. Like Vegix here. I don't have the thing, but like the God Trunks would probably also be in this. There's stuff you can do with it, but just black's kind of just been falling out and hasn't really had a strong deck in a while. I would put like the Broly from the movie promo one. It did get some support and a new Z leader, so that's something that's playable. And then also Hatchiyak, I'm just going to put in the middle here. It's someone's probably going to be playing this. They're going to try to do their best with it. They might get some success with it, but I'm not immediately seeing it. But I felt like I had to talk about it because it's one of those. It's just like Miljanima. It just kind of sticks around for a little bit. Sometimes it pops up in unexpected ways and gets a W, and then it kind of just goes back into the shadows. But if I was to rearrange this tier list on just what decks I think would, I'll just rearrange the competitive and highly competitive ones. So I think these two are still the best. This actually, I'd put it like this. Highly competitive, this is probably from best to worst from left to right. And then on this side, I would probably put, I think the SS4 Vegeta is probably the best one here. Then I'll put Piccolo. Then I'll probably still I'll put SS3 Reboot right in front of Piccolo. Then probably we have probably Pan and Gogeta here. And then probably best yellow after is probably Chunks here, so I'll probably put them like this, and probably something like this is what I'd be seeing from competitive, and then everything else. So here is my quick tier list. I know we kind of just sped through it, but there's just a lot to cover. I just wanted an overview of my thoughts and predictions for the event, and I'm really excited to see what this looks like. Obviously, it's like our first like big BT19. It's at a national level event, and it's in person, and it should be very, very fun. So that's going to be the video for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you're going to be at nationals, let me know in the comments below. We'll make sure to say hi, and that will be it for me. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it.